Very rarely did I break a toy growing up. Usually it was because some other kid came over and was acting like a moron. If I ever run into the kid that broke my bat wing in some dark alley, he's going to suffer the same fate as Batman's parents. But aside from some random accidents, I wasn't a destructive kid. That said, there was one toy from early in my childhood that literally fell apart right before my eyes. And that's because it was a piece of crap. The General Lee.
Just a good old boy, never meaning no harm. Beats all you never saw, Benny.
The toy company Mego was famous in the 1970s for making 8-inch action figures for boys, like this Hulk toy. But when Kenner decided to make the Star Wars line in 3 3/4 inch scale, and it became wildly successful, all of the other toy companies followed suit. Mego held the license to the Dukes of Hazzard television show, which was popular at the time, and they released 3 3/4 inch action figures to depict characters from that show, along with the General Lee Dodge Charger. I only had the General Lee and Bo and Luke Duke. I'm pretty sure that they were the first action figures and vehicle I ever owned. Here are the same figures from childhood of Bo and Luke, and this is a Mego General Lee that serves as a replacement for the one that fell apart before my eyes 30 years ago. Just looking at this toy, you can tell Mego either got left behind by competitors like Kenner and Hasbro, or they simply didn't understand where the toy trends were heading. Kenner and Hasbro made rugged, quality vehicles for their Star Wars and G.I. Joe series. By comparison, the Mego General Lee is literally an orange shell of cheap plastic, the same grade used to make sandbox toys you can get at Walgreens. When you put the figures inside the vehicle, their legs come sticking out through the bottom. It's like they're riding around in the Flintstones sedan or something. The axles are far too wide for the toy, so they have a lot of play in them, and it sits on these fat tires, which makes the whole thing look like a goofy bumper car. And, speaking of bumpers, the chrome on these bumpers is not well applied, so it rubs off on your fingers and you just see black plastic underneath. It's not a very well-made toy, and aesthetically, it's a real dog. How'd mine break? Would you believe it was because I was just rolling it back and forth on the driveway? Granted, I was rolling it pretty fast, but I wasn't ramming it into brick walls or anything. It just kind of imploded on itself. I don't remember if it was the roof that caved in or the axle that broke off, but my father picked the thing up, and there was no choice. He threw it in the trash. And I wasn't even upset about it. I just remember being stunned that this thing had broken apart with so little effort. I never got the chance to jump my General Lee. But now, with my replacement, I've broken out my Bo and Luke action figures, and I'm going to do something that I've been waiting to do for 30 years. I'm going to jump the General.
We're gonna crash!
It's too late.
Shoot. To the Dukes, that's about like taking Grandma for a Sunday drive.
Making their way the only way they know how. That's just a little bit more than the law will allow. Just a good old boy. They wouldn't change if they could.